Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the effective immigration sweeps on farming in Arizona and around the country. Also tonight, an investigative report into allegations of sexualized hazing on a local high school wrestling team. And a new device promises to detect serious diseases with just a drop of blood. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. An estimated 40% of agricultural workers in the U.S. are undocumented. As such, worksite immigration raids in Arizona and the U.S. are making for instability in farming operations and fear in farm working communities. Here to tell us more is Edward Vargas. He's from ASU School of Trans-Border Studies. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Ted, for having me.
You betcha. All right, let's take a 30,000-foot view here as far as immigration raids and the impact on farms and eventually on what we get at the grocery store.
Yeah, so fundamentally, whenever there's uncertainty, a lot of things happen. We know that people's fear of going to work, people scared of taking their children to school, people not knowing what's going to happen next week, ultimately has an impact on labor and labor productivity in all industries. If we look specifically at agriculture, you can think of agriculture and sort of there's the trucking sort of world of moving product. There's the cow industry, dairy industry world of farming. There is, of course, the green leaves, the rock fruits, and so fishing, all kind of wrapped into one. But what we do know is that around 40,000, about 40 to 45,000 farms. We're losing about 40, 45,000 farms a year. Last year, I got to do a stint at the USDA and got to kind of look underneath the hood in terms of what's going on in the agricultural industry. And what we're beginning to see is just really just a loss of farms and farmlands.
Those losses, the loss of farms, how much is immigration playing a part in that?
Well, that's part of it, immigration clearly, but it's also just sort of market forces in terms of small farms that maybe didn't want to get a little bit bigger because of the fear of labor shortages and so sort of just the change in the movement of large industrial farming. I
mentioned 40%, and estimated somewhere around 40% of agricultural workers in the U.S. are undocumented. Does that ring true to you? Does that sound about right?
That's about what estimates say. And some recent work actually done by the USDA and Migration Policy Institute estimate around that number. Again, when we talk about documented or undocumented, it's a little unclear in those numbers. Meaning, if you're an H-2A worker, for example, do you count that as an undocumented worker, or you count that as a documented worker? It becomes to get really kind of blurry.
Yeah. Okay, ICE agents, are they targeting farms? Are they targeting farm workers?
Ted, what we know is that agriculture and labor, there's always been an open secret that people are undocumented and working on these farms. We did see some raids happening in around Camarillo, California, in strawberry fields, where you had agents chasing laborers through strawberry fields. That did happen. But in general, I think there's been a lot of pushback and a lot of concern, and so people have been kind of staying away. Again, it's an open secret that we're hiring these workers.
Yeah, but as far as the raids themselves, are crops not being picked? Are fields being left dry? I mean, is A, and B, when is if that's happening, is that going to affect us and when?
Yes, it is happening. What we're seeing is, one, farmers having to diversify how they're picking fruit. So this push to automation is really what they're looking into. How do we diversify if we don't have people to pick? Now, again, I said that there's different types of fruits and vegetables. So when we look at rock fruits, the fruits such as pears, fruits such as blueberries, blackberries, strawberries that are very, you need hands to pick these things. What we're seeing is that people are either thinking about secondary markets for these products. In other words, they're rotting away in these fields. So how can we repurpose them into other products? We're sort of seeing that happening. We're also seeing farmers rethinking about how much harvest, how much they're going to be planting for the next couple of years.
Arizona, compare Arizona to other areas. It seems like ICE, I don't know, is ICE targeting certain regions? Is Arizona included?
Well, that's a really great point. Arizona is really different than other places, specifically places that have the largest number of undocumented workers, such as California, Oregon, Texas, Florida, which again, they produce a lot of sort of fruits that require hand picking, where in Arizona, we've had a longer established relationship with folks over on the other side in San Luis to be able to bring in workers. But again, they are experiencing labor shortages. And that's been true for the last couple of decades.
Okay, so the raids are happening, and it's kind of hard to figure out exactly when, where, why, and how, but they are happening. President Trump, though, said that he was not going to target certain industries, including agriculture, meatpacking, and these kinds of things as well. Is that not happening?
Well, it's happened across the country. There's accounts happening, for example, in Wisconsin, in dairy farms. We know that one of the first executive orders was on an English-only law. Why this matters is because in the construction driving rigs, there are a large majority of people who are non-English speakers, native speakers. So it sort of trickles down into other parts of the agricultural economy that we don't really think about.
Yeah, I want to get back to what you mentioned as far as people being upset and worried and fearful and not doing things, picking kids up from school. Also, are we seeing any evidence that they're not reporting crimes? That was always a big deal, that crime would go underground because people would be too afraid to either report or testify.
That's right. We call this in the literature the chilling effect. In other words, people not engaging, whether they're hospitals, reporting crime. And a recent poll done by a group of researchers, me being one of these folks, Lina studies, and you can find this at the Brookings Institution where I published this. We find Latinos not, for example, wanting to go and get their new medications, not going to see the doctor, fearful that their children could be left alone if they got picked up. So there is concerns. I think what we also have to note is just how diverse these families are. So you have individuals in this household who are U.S. citizens, but who may have an undocumented parent. We know that even permanent residents can be picked up and deported, and that's happening.
Okay, last question then. Where is all this headed?
This is headed very negatively. What we know is that people not coming to the U.S., and this is very reminiscent of 2008 in terms of people self-deporting and the anti-immigrant movement that was happening in that period. And what happened right after 2008? We had a crash. So there's a lot of indicators, and they say, for example, the purchasing of spaghetti is a large indicator of what's to come, and we see that the purchasing of spaghetti has just skyrocketed.
Wow, a spaghetti index. Who knew?
Who knew?
Yeah, so watch out for it. We should mention 2008 though. Real estate was a big part
Real
of that.
estate was in Arizona. Know this better than anybody. And what we do see in the construction industry, we have seen much more raids in the construction industry.
Interesting. All right, well, keep an eye on it. Dr. Edward Vargas, again, ASU School of Transborder Studies. Always a pleasure, sir. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Looking to jumpstart your career opportunities? Arizona PBS has you covered. Come to the Salvation Army Kroc Center in South Phoenix between 5:30 and 8 p.m. on September 11th. Get expert advice, valuable resources, and discover new opportunities at this free career networking event sponsored by Gateway Community College.
Next time on Father Brown, a witch coven is operating in Campbellford.
They worship other gods. Doesn't make them evil.
And when a woman is found dead in the woods,
She was a witch.
Looks like the school was crushed.
some want mob justice. Father Brown.
Saturday night at 7:30 on Arizona PBS.
Join us for a special screening of Downton Abbey, the grand finale.
Welcome to 1930.
The world is changing. Families like ours must keep moving to survive.
If Mama were alive, what would she do?
Downton Abbey, the grand finale, only in theaters September 12th.
Become a new sustaining donor and secure your tickets today. Scan the QR code or visit azpbs.org/Downton for more information.
It was meant to shield us from the evils of drink. Instead, it triggered a wave of corruption.
Some call it bootlegging. I call it a business.
and violence.
There's bullets flying. It's like Dodge City here.
As a nation built on rights,
Everyone is breaking the law.
how did we go so wrong?
The average American says, "Who are you to tell me how to live?"
From Ken Burns, Prohibition.
Friday night at 8 on Arizona PBS.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, the leaders of China, Russia, and North Korea meet to strengthen their alliance. That's at 6 on Arizona PBS.
The Arizona Republic's ongoing investigation of an alleged sexual hazing scandal involving the Liberty High School wrestling team in Peoria has led to questions regarding how the school, the district, and Peoria police have handled the allegations. Joining us now is Hannah Dreyfus. She's the Republic's investigative reporter covering the story. And also with us is Brody Cobb, a Liberty High graduate. He wrestled at the school for 3.5 years. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. Hannah, we'll start with you. Liberty High School, is this a newer school in Peoria or in more established areas?
It's a more established school, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. What happened with this wrestling team? Give us a synopsis.
Sure. So what we're looking at is a pattern of behavior that seems to have gotten worse over the course of several years, as is frequently the case with behavior that goes unaddressed. Our story begins more or less around fall of 2023, when students start to come forward to parents about sexualized hazing incidents that were taking place on the team. That's when parents first brought this to the attention of then head coach Eric Brenton, who, according to the parents, said he was going to deal with the situation. When it continued to go unaddressed, parents escalated and brought the issue directly to police. Police then closed the case initially after just 6 days, dismissing it initially as just horseplay and saying there was really nothing else that needed to be dealt with. Since then, the police investigation has been opened 2 more times, and students, including Brody, have come forward with detailed allegations.
Three times Peoria police have opened this thing 3 times in 18 months?
Correct.
Because it's horseplay and because it's not that serious, according to what your reporting found?
Yeah, well, according to my reporting and the police investigation and police records,
yes.
When it was closed the first time, police watched video evidence of several hazing incidents, which are described in detail, and watched those and determined that because some of the boys in the videos were laughing, that therefore it shouldn't be taken seriously.
I got you. All right, Brody, as best as you can, talk about the hazing. How often did it happen? Where did it happen? Was it how it was addressed? Give us as best as you can an indication of what was going on.
So my experience, it was worse in my sophomore and junior year, so it was 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024. Happened every single day. And it would happen in the wrestling room where coaches would be in the corner and watch it happen. So what would happen is the main perpetrators, the main guys that would do it, they would have a list of people that they wanted to get for that specific day, and they would hold that person down and sexually haze them.
Okay, there's a list of people. That would suggest that not everyone went through this hazing, or did everyone go through this kind of hazing?
Everyone went through this hazing because it happened daily.
Okay, but even the leaders and even the ones that were perpetrating this, they wound up being victims as well?
Yes.
And the coach is doing what?
Sitting in the corner on his computer, on his telephone.
Okay, from what you could see, in your opinion, did he know what was going on?
100%. Because he addressed it and told people to knock it off sometimes.
Did he ever egg them on?
No, never.
And when you say told them to knock it off, is that the extent of trying to stop it?
Yes.
Were you targeted?
Yes.
Were you targeted any more than any of the other wrestlers?
No, I would say that I probably got it the least because I was able to avoid it as much as possible, but it did eventually happen to me.
And real quickly, in your story, I think you mentioned it, someone mentioned it, there was peer-on-peer violence every day, in addition to this other stuff going on?
Yes.
What kind of, like just punching people and beating, of a fight club going on?
Yeah.
How did you get on this story, Hannah? How did you start with this?
Yeah, sure. So I actually inherited the story from a colleague of mine who had started reporting on this more than a year ago. He's since moved to a different publication, but I came onto the story actually just a few weeks or perhaps at this point months ago. And I realized that there was a lot more to do here in terms of bringing this to light. I knew that there were students who had allegations that they needed to share and should be shared publicly, and I knew that I needed to hold school officials and police accountable for their handling of the situation. So that was an immediate focus for me when I took on the story.
And we heard horseplay also in your story. A student was texted it was a rite of passage.
Yeah, that was a text from the coach. When a student confronted him about the escalating incidents, the coach texted back that this was a rite of passage.
And I guess he told the school, boys will be boys.
According to the police report
Yes.
and the school's internal investigation, that appears to be what the coach said when he was confronted with these incidents.
And Brody, I want to get back to you about how difficult this was for you to come forward, but I have to ask, the school's response, the district's response, we kind of talked about the police response. What is this, how's the school explaining all this?
Sure. I'm still holding their feet to the fire in terms of an explanation for not just what happened in the wrestling room with the players, with the coach, but why, when this was brought to the attention of the school principal, the athletic director for the school, and the district athletic director, why was the situation misrepresented to parents in terms of what was truly being investigated? Why was the coach put on leave and parents were told it was for recruitment violations when there was so much more at hand? So
Yeah.
I am trying to get to the bottom of that.
And he's still the head coach of the wrestling team.
He was the head coach until the day the story published.
Oh, okay. So, and what is he doing now?
Well, at this point, he's on paid administrative leave
Okay.
while they reopen investigation into these incidents.
Brody, how difficult was it for you to come forward with this?
Very, very difficult. So I quit in December of 2024, halfway through my season, and I think once I finally got away from it, I finally confided in my parents about what was actually happening, because it was very difficult because it was so normalized in that environment that I didn't think it was that bad, but when I finally got away from it, I was like, wow, this was messed up.
And there was peer pressure, I would imagine, to just go along. And was there peer pressure not to say anything, or was it just who cares if you say anything? That we're boys are being boys.
Peers and sometimes coaches would even say, like, go through your phone and delete evidence of certain things. They just didn't want it to be outside of the circle.
And I would imagine, on your part, there was fear of retaliation, right? Yes. Yeah. I have to ask you, though, I mean, if everyone on the team was taking part, were you taking part in this stuff?
Yes. Unfortunately, I'm very embarrassed about it and very, I regret it very much so. But I thought in that environment that if I took part in it, I would be protected.
And that's where the peer pressure comes into play. Yeah. What's next in this story?
What's next?
Yeah.
I think what's next is, first of all, taking a minute to appreciate the bravery of folks like Brody to come forward and not just to speak about their own experiences, which generally involves a lot of shame for survivors of sexual assault, to come and speak forward, but also to really step up and take responsibility for any part they might have taken in this. That shows a tremendous amount of strength. In terms of what's next in reporting this story, I'm making sure that the school's aware of their legal responsibility to open up a Title IX investigation into sexual assault that took place on their campus. So there will be more reporting on that. I'm in touch with the Arizona Board of Education to see their response to this. And if we have to go up to the federal level to make sure that this is properly addressed, I absolutely will take the story there.
Well, Hannah, great job on this story. And Brody, again, it does take courage to do this. Congratulations on that. You've come forward and probably helped a lot of kids down the line. So thank you. And Hannah, thank you. Thanks for sharing the story. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Ted.
ASU researchers have developed what is being described as a breakthrough diagnostic tool that could transform how reliable and quickly illnesses like COVID-19, Ebola, AIDS, and Lyme disease are detected. The device is known as NASRED, and to learn more, we welcome Chao Wang from ASU's Biodesign Center, I guess for molecular design and biomimetrics and it's a design center, the Biodesign Center, doing great work over there, including this. They're calling this a breakthrough in diagnosing diseases. Talk to us about this.
Thank you for having me. So this breakthrough dated back to a couple years ago during the COVID-19 pandemic. At that time, we were short of masks and we were short of tests. So at that time, I told my students, it's time for us to shine. We try to really work out a technology that eventually can save people's lives. But we were kind of late. Eventually, a couple months ago, we were able to finish the work, and this work has been featured in a journal, and this is a device that we have been working on. So it's a portable device, as you can see.
Yes.
And it can achieve detection of a very small amount of sample, as you can see from here.
I mean, those vials are tiny.
Those are tiny.
I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah, these very tiny samples. What you can see at the bottom of the tube, just the volume of the sample is less than a drop of blood. When you finish a test, you put them here, then you collect electronic signals. And the whole test time can be finished within about 15 to 30 minutes. And the sensitivity is comparable to gold standard tests we are using right now in the lab, such as LabCorp or SNORCast.
Okay, so this is basically a blood test that has been streamlined to the point where 15 to 30 minutes later you can get it from a drop of blood. How does this work? Because I know, reading about this, you got like nanoplated particles that are the gold-plated what's going on?
Yes, that's a very good question. I think that can be seen from here.
Yeah.
So that's a tube of nanoparticles, and you can see they're reddish.
Yes.
Guess how many are there?
I have no clue.
More than 10 billion nanoparticles in here. They are so tiny. Each of them is only about less than 100 nanometers, which is 1,000 times smaller than the diameter of human hair.
And so these, with the blood, you put the blood in there, and what, the nano things, they attract the, like if there's a COVID or there's an AIDS or there's a Lyme disease particle in there, they'll attract each other?
Exactly. So what happens is that we have one tube of the sample. We use, we call them sensor tube. Then we have another tube of human sample, like saliva or urine or blood or serum, even cerebrospinal fluid. You name it.
Yes.
So you mix them, you finish a procedure, you put them here, you can finish the detection. What happens is that the nanoparticles, they carry small molecule on the surface. They are small, but they are much bigger than protein. So each of them nanoparticles carry hundreds of these molecules. They're trying to grab the target proteins.
Yes. And if they grab one, you got to hit.
You got to hit, then you produce signal.
Yeah. This is going to be big stuff for rural areas, for smaller areas where it's difficult to get your blood tested. I would imagine in emerging countries, lower income countries and stuff like that. Is that where the target is here?
Exactly, that's my motivation. Actually, we want to make this accessible, not only sensitive, but also accessible. That means it needs to be portable, it needs to be rapid, it needs to be low cost. So we can achieve all of these. So that can be used, as you mentioned, in PCP office, in emergency rooms, even in the ambulance.
Right. Low cost, you mentioned that. How much training is needed to run these kinds of things?
So what we want to achieve eventually is you have a workstation, you turn the key on, you set up the protocol, eventually it can be automated. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're not quite there yet, but I'm working in this direction.
Real quickly, because we got to get going here, but how long before you get there? How long before this is out there?
I would say probably 3 years. That's my
3 years still, huh? Well, it's really exciting. I mean, that's amazing to have a blood test that would be as accurate or more so than a full-blown lab test in just that. That's good stuff.
Thank you. But That's basically research. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Research takes time, but I hope eventually research can make an impact to humans' lives.
Well, great work, Chao Wang. Again, congratulations on this, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this in the coming years. Congratulations, and thanks for sharing your story. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ted, for having me.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.